Hi everyone, Scott Pyre, pop cult fan here, and I just saw the season finale of Daredevil Born Again, and now I am ready to do my full season review of the show. Now, going into this, one thing that's worth noting about Daredevil Born Again is that it had a creative overhaul, meaning that it was reworked from the ground up with a new creative team, and they they shot a lot of new footage and kind of mixed it in with a bunch of old footage, which is part of the reason why maybe to some people that don't know the history behind the production of the show will kind of see that it's a little bit disjointed in some episodes in the way it's laid out in regards to the story. And I do feel that with some of the episodes in this season, and while I think it did a pretty good enough job even with that, I do notice that there's some disjointed moments with some episodes in this season, mainly from the first episode all the way to episode 7. There's a giant chunk of it that was like old footage from what the show was originally with what the show is now with the new creative team, and I think they did a good enough job even with that. And I love the two actors of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as these characters, and they're just perfect in these roles. They really are. I love both of them, and I love how this season of the show kind of made their stories kind of parallel with one another, and especially with the way the some various moments were edited together to make that kind of reflection between Matt and Wilson Fisk, which I thought was very fascinating and very well done. And the cinematography too, and the way that it's edited in most episodes was so much better than some of the other Marvel Disney Plus shows that have been produced. Like, this is easily also very gritty, and it goes back to that same kind of feel of the original Netflix show, while at the same time doing its own thing. And I really liked that. I liked a lot of the supporting characters too. Granted, though, I think there is one villain in this season that I feel was a bit wasted. The character of Muse. Well, I liked the character, and I liked what the kind of, I mean, granted, it was disturbing, but I liked the character, and he didn't just get fully developed or fully fleshed out, and as a result, his story was cut short. And by the end of episode 7, and then the last couple episodes, kind of focused more on the character of Bullseye, which I liked, but at the same time, we had just this one villain who was wasted, and this one complaint I do have with this season. And also, there's one other character in this show that I wasn't sure where they were going to take her character. I wasn't sure, but by the end of the season finale, it kind of gave me the impression that maybe she shouldn't be trusted, even though Matt trusted her for most of the season. But yeah, and also I like how they incorporate elements of Punisher stuff in this too, without spoiling anything. I think what they do there with some of these corrupt cops within the system, I thought was it was surprisingly fascinating and intriguing, following that kind of storyline, especially in that episode with the trial of the White Tiger. And I thought that was a very fascinating and very compelling episode. There's a lot of really great storytelling and a lot of really great writing with a lot of these characters, almost all of them, really, if I'm being honest. And these characters are just so well realized, mainly Matt and Wilson Fisk, and also kind of going into the theme that even though you're trying your best to be better than you were, there's always going to be a part of you that will eventually kind of rise up again within you, that darkness that pretty much anyone has. Like, even if you are like a really nice, really good person, eventually, I mean, you do have a part of inside of you that is a bit dark, right? And that eventually does come out at some point, and no matter how hard you try to be a good person. And I like that theming in this show. I love that theming. It's very fascinating. And also how, and when the show starts, something happens. I'm not going to spoil it, but I thought that was a very bold choice, especially for Matt's character going into this season and his character arc throughout the season, which really just, it grabs you. It pulls at the heartstrings, especially if you're someone who loves the Netflix show. And it just really, it adds to Matt's character, as well as also kind of emphasizing that Wilson Fisk isn't the only one in his circle that is, bad. I'll just say that, because they bring in almost all the original cast from the Netflix show too. And Vanessa, Wilson Fisk's wife, I thought she was a very fascinating character, and kind of the one pulling the strings a little bit with some of the bad things that happen in this season. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Just a little bit of a minor spoiler there with her character. But it was fascinating. It was compelling. And the last couple episodes, especially the finale, was some of the most brutal and violent scenes I have seen watching something that was MCU Disney related. Holy crud. The season finale, it was brutal. Oh my goodness. Wow. I didn't think I would ever see anything like what I saw in the finale ever in something that was Marvel and Disney related. Ever. I never once would imagine I would see brutality and violence in something Marvel and Disney related, in something like this. And I just cannot believe what I saw in regards to violence. Wow. It was brutal, but it was also just very compelling too, with the characters. And I thought it was really well handled. I think also with how they kind of visualize Matt's senses when he's like hearing a heartbeat or hearing a conversation from someone else in another room, I think also was well done. A lot of the cinematography was so well done. The lighting, it was just so great. There's also this amazing one-shot action sequence in the pilot episode, and just from that alone is impressive, kind of going along with a lot of one-shot moments within the original Netflix series. And it was helped kind of flow naturally into this season, and I loved it. I thought Bullseye was a great character, and I do think that Bullseye will be a more prominent character in season 2 of Born Again, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also extremely excited to see more of the Punisher, John Bernthal, because I heard that they were going to do like a special presentation for his character, like a kind of like a, not necessarily like a full-length movie, but kind of like what they did with Werewolf by Night, and also the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Basically that, but for the Punisher character. And I'm excited for that because that's going to premiere around the same time as season 2 next year. And I'm looking very, very excited for all of that. So it was a great season. I think this is some of the best produced Marvel Disney television thing they've ever done on Disney Plus. I thought it was amazing. While at the same time, there were a few things that did hold it back for me in regards to the character of Muse being wasted, and also a few pacing issues in some episodes, except for I do think I really liked that episode with the bank heist. I thought that was a really well done episode, even though some people may not have liked it. I thought it was great. I loved that episode, and it brought in another character from the Marvel universe. That's all I'm gonna say. That helped just kind of build the world more, with Daredevil being in the MCU now, and I thought that was great. It's a very solid season. I absolutely loved it. and I definitely think it deserves an A- grade from me. That is my grade for Daredevil Born Again Season 1. That should do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about Daredevil Born Again. If you've seen it, if you haven't yet seen it, what do you want to see with this show if you haven't seen it? Let me all know down in the comments below. Press that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.